Hi, cat. Come and get some mango, baby.
One, two, 1, 2, 3. Self-awareness is a superpower. My name is KathyLaDonna. Welcome to Soul and Vibration. I hope the free thinkers are doing well. And if you're not doing well, I'm happy to remind you that you are the most powerful person that you know. You are the most powerful person that you know because only you can create your reality. Hey guys, today is Wednesday, September 4th, and the energies in the day adds up and reduce to number 3 vibration. If today is your birthday, happy birthday. When it comes to the spirit animal, we have the elk. And with the elk energy coming out in the reversal position, in the upright position, the elk brings me to earth energy, grounded stability, secure energy. When I look at the card of the elk, my attention's always looking at how the light from the sun is illuminating the antlers of the elk. It brings me to how we all have antennas where we're sending and receiving energy. I think of like our aura, how, we are all surrounded by an auric field that's like an antenna, sending and receiving energy. And with the elk in a reversal position, it would bring me to a block of the energy. And I feel like what would be blocking that energy is fear and worrying about certain things, when really renovations are happening within our worlds, within our lives, and certain things are being released to make space for other things. And we just have to trust that, opposed to find ourselves fearing the worst and scrambling, trying to come up with solutions to hold on to certain things, when it might just be time for it just might be time for that change. Like what's coming to mind with today's energy, I've told this story before, but I remember when I was working in LA and I was working in this salon in Baldwin Hills, Crenshaw area, really nice salon. And it was a lot of responsibility for the owner to keep up with. And it's like you could tell every month as the owner go through the emotions, worrying about paying the rent, covering all the bills. I could just tell, like at the leading to the end of the month, the anxiety and the stress and the chaos. And then by the first the first week in the month, there's this euphoric feeling as in I made it. And it's like eventually the owner ended up losing that salon. But to me, that was such a huge burden taken from that person's shoulder, because it's like the idea of being this boss and being this owner and having this establishment where it was like it looked good ego wise, but energetically like there wasn't a match and it was time to move on. And I remember seeing that person after they eventually let it go and downsize into something smaller and more intimate, and just the freedom, even though of course I know the ego of the mind is going to think back on, being a big baller and having this big space and everybody could see it and blah, 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 to then downsizing to this thing. But this person had talent. So it's like, I could see how that burden being removed created opportunity for more freedom and more finances. And deep down, that person probably wanted more freedom, and that thing was obstructing their freedom, but they couldn't see that because they were so stuck on how good it looks to be the boss of this big thing. And I feel like when it comes to today's energy, certain things are happening where different emotions are stirring up or rising as we're focused on you know, different areas of our lives where things are just not working, where our foundation is just like, our foundation feels like it's crumbling, like it's falling apart. And as life's and shifts happen within our reality and pull away the old in order to make spaces for the new, we just have to trust and, you know, find out what it means to do everything you can do within your power in that moment or in each day, and make sure you're doing that, whatever it is that you could do that's within your power, and then trust that you will end up where you're supposed to be. Because when it comes to today's energy, I just get the feeling of someone holding on, wanting to be in one place, and deep down probably don't even know why. You know, they want to be where they say they want to be, or want to be there for superficial reasons that don't even really belong to them, refusing to cut losses and wanting to hold on for something, wanting to hold on to something for the sake of image. And from that, it's like, I think of like a person cutting the connection with their intuition, or blocking the connection with their intuition or their higher selves, because of holding on to something that it's like, in the process of holding on to this relationship, this connection, this thing, it's like a person will have to completely disobey their intuition and stop themselves from feeling completely in order to agree to be in that, to be in a certain place, in a certain relationship, connection, or thing. So it's like, just from holding on, it's where a person chooses a thing or the idea of a thing over themselves, over their intuition, over their purpose, over life, like over living. It's like choosing a thing over living itself. And eventually when we do that, you know, health situations come up, like health issues come up within our bodies to kind of get us to a space of bringing back our attention to ourselves, get us to a space of focusing more on ourselves. But we don't want things to get there. You know, we don't want it to have to get to that point. Like, we don't want it to have to get to that point. So when it comes to today's energy, you know, you could find yourself feeling a bit irritated as your foundation around you, like there's certain parts of it that's clearly like falling away, that's super weak. And instead of, you know, surrendering and say, what is this trying to teach me? Instead, a person could find themselves hustling, trying to come up with all different kind of great ideas or ways to keep this thing, like this salon example that I gave of the person who owned this big, beautiful salon. Like, I imagine, like, say for example, a person owns, say for example, because I don't know this to be true. So say for example, the person owns this big salon, and every month they're scrambling, trying to make the bills and everything meet, opposed to if they were to just surrender and accept the truth of it. If they were to do that, then, you know, they probably would have rid themselves of the burden a long time ago. Even though I feel like before even entering into certain things like that, we see the signs, but we overlook it because the title, the status, and our ego is speaking louder than our intuition. But say a person owns the reality that they're seeing about the stability and their security pertaining to this thing, they could cut their losses sooner than later. Or instead of owning the reality, say a person is stuck on the idea, their ego is stuck on the idea of this thing. So now this person goes into debt, taking out all kind of loans, trying to keep up each month. Then they go from taking out all kind of loans to now borrowing from friends and family. And eventually this thing sinks. And now this thing has sink, and they're indebted, in debt everywhere they turn, trying to fight for a thing that clearly, like, there was no fighting for it. It's like it's like there's this huge boulder falling and someone finding themselves trying to catch it. It's like at some points, get out of the way, cut your loss and get out of the way. So I feel like someone needs to hear this today, where it's like you might find yourself fighting, trying to stay afloat when it comes to something. And it's like, if you think back, entering into the agreement with this thing, there were already obstructions, there were already signs. Obstructions and signs, maybe when it was time to go into this thing, you didn't have you didn't have enough to get into it, and you end up having a falling out with your mom, cousin, whoever, because they wouldn't loan it to you. But finally someone loaned it to you and you got in, and every month after getting in, it's been a struggle being in. So even just getting in, the energy wasn't right getting in. It's like you had to force your way in and force yourself trying to stay in there while this thing is pushing you out. Pushing you out not because you don't deserve this thing, but pushing you out because there's so much better that is in alignment with your truth waiting for you. And we have the Knight of Swords in the upright position. So with the Knight of Swords in the upright position, to me, this is where we, might find ourselves jumping to conclusion. That brings me to, the energies in the day, adding up and reducing to the number 3 vibration, coming up with a new idea or a new solution or a new way of trying to force our way, or trying to force a situation when clearly it's pushing us out. Clearly it's pushing us out. Remind me of like a few piercings that I've gotten. And as my skin healed, it just kept pushing and pushing and pushing the metal to where like my skin eventually just split. Because it's like it didn't belong in me. It didn't belong in those, like one of them was here and my belly button, and my skin did the same thing in both places. Just push, 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 push until it got to the very tip, and then it just popped out. When it was a deep piercing and a deep piercing in the navel, but the skin just push, 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 push. So I feel like, energetically, you could find yourself being push, 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 push out of a thing. And instead, you might find yourself trying to come up with solutions and ways to fight to stay when you're being pushed out of a thing. Mercury is the ruler of the day. And Mercury is in Leo, and it's squaring Uranus in retrograde in Taurus. So with Mercury in Leo, our mind is in a creative, expressive place. And with Uranus energy in retrograde, reflecting on innovative ways to transform our security, stability, and just our world. Something about that is challenging to the mind, Mercury. Mercury, though, is positively aspecting Mars at 29 degrees and Jupiter at 19 degrees in Gemini. So the mind is in a space where it wants to be more social and reflect on surface-based things and not get too deep in the heaviness of things, or also to dealing with the unknown and the random changes that's happening when it comes to our security, when it comes to our stability. And I feel the need to speak on like how some of us could find ourselves in certain places where we're in between. I mentioned this in Thursday's message, so look back to Thursday's message if you want me to go deeper into that. But in between, in the sense that you walked away from one thing and you're trying to make something new happen, and things aren't going as fast as you like. And when you were in the other place, you were probably making 75% more than you're actually making in your current situation. But your intuition and everything in you told you that the thing you were walking away from was just not good for you anymore. But while you're in your present situation, it's like things aren't moving or picking up as fast as you would like. And I guess the question to ask yourself is, in this moment is, do you have everything that you need? Like, say if you could think of like the next 2-3 months, do you have everything you need? And if you do, trust yourself and keep moving forward. But if you have to go out and get a side job or another job in order to make ends meet, by all means, do whatever it is that you have to do in order to have a peace of mind. Because for me, life is an energy game. So with life being an energy game, if we're in a space of lack and fear and pessimism, we're only going to create more of that. So it's important to do whatever it is that we have to do to where we bring ourselves to a space of, like somewhat comfort where we're not in lack, like our needs are met, so that we can start to fantasize, daydream, reflect, and manifest, bring other things into our world. Mars enters into Cancer today. So with Mars entering into Cancer, Mars going into Cancer energy brings me to motivation about our home, our family, our mother. So big emphasis and things will come up on about our home, our family, and our mother. And also too, with Mars and Cancer, to me, it brings me to passive aggressive energy, where it's like someone might have beef or have problems with you, but you can't tell, because that's Cancer's energy. It's like you can't tell until the lights are out, like type of vibe, you know? So when it comes to, say, Mars entering into Cancer, for me, I always believe in taking a step back and looking at something from a bird's eye view and observing all of the possibilities, where it's like when you're observing the crab move, the crab doesn't walk in a straight line, it moves sideways. So you can't, you know, you don't assume, like I heard something the other day on this video on Instagram, and the guy said, never believe anything you hear and only believe half of what you see. So when I think of Mars entering into Cancer, I think of, like, say someone telling you one thing while they mean something different, where it's important for you to go by what you see, but at the same time also question what it is that you see, because I feel like water signs, mainly Cancer energy, is like the king or the queen of gaslighting, where it's like what you thought you saw, you're not sure if it is what you saw. Like, I just think of the crab walking sideways energy. So it's like with Mars energy going into there, it's like when it comes to interactions, you know, believe nothing you hear, but only half of what you see. So that means question everything that you see, but also to trust yourself, because when you trust yourself, then people can't gaslight you, because you need some, like, to me, someone can only gaslight us when we're seeking their validation. Where if you know what you know, you know what you know. You know what you know, and you're confident with what it is that you know, and that's all, you know, that's all that matters. But at the same time, even though I know what I know, I'm always open for more information when it comes to life. I'm open for more information, and when I receive more information, then, you know, I take that in and I process that. And, you know, depending on how intuitively, how I feel about that, like, you know, that might guide me to a new perspective or to change. But at the end of the day, it's important for you to trust yourself. It's always a pleasure sharing these messages with you. Hey guys, I want to share with you 7 benefits of getting a numerology natal chart awareness coaching session. The first one is understanding your internal programming. The second one is becoming more clear about your purpose and passion. The third is setting goals for success. The fourth is awareness of strength and areas of improvement. And the fourth one was foundational for me, because whenever you're aware of your weaknesses, no one can use them against you. And when you're aware of your strengths, that makes you unstoppable. And that is why I say self-awareness is a superpower. The fifth benefit is removing obstacles. We first have to become aware of a thing in order to remove it in the first place. The sixth benefit is understanding relationship dynamics. We don't have to change the people in our lives. We have to become aware of ourselves and start from there, and everything changes. And the seventh benefit is upcoming transits, if that's something that you would like to look into because you're planning for something or you just want to be aware. So if you're interested in booking a numerology natal chart awareness coaching session or learning more about it, the link to book or the link to send me an email for questions are both within the description box below. If you'd like to check out my Patreon, where I share exclusive content, the link to check out what's happening on Patreon is in the description box below. Before you go anywhere, please let me know you're here with me by dropping me a yellow heart in the comment box below. I would love to hear from you and look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Love yourself as if your life depended on it, because it does. Take care of yourself, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.